That's perfect. So, week 5. I choose how I feel. No, you don't. No, you don't. Don't bullshit us, Jeff. I don't choose how I feel. So the week, like this week, I'll work week 6. Last week I worked week 5, so I could come in here and speak very fresh about it, off my experience. So my dog breaks his leg. It's $6,000 to fix, right? I don't have that money laying around. My wife is in, a panic about it. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just cash out my 401k. I'll take a loan out of that. Like, we can pay for it with that, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, I'm going to put it up on Facebook, right? I freaking went to bed like Monday night, like totally stressed out. Woke up at like 4 in the morning with this searing pain through the back of my neck. Like that is just like no other word for it but searing. Like and the whole time I'm just going, I choose how I feel. I choose how I feel. Right? I choose how I feel. And so all these things were coming up and all these things were coming into my life. And every time I was just like, I choose how I feel. And I would bring myself back to my center. I would bring myself back to my integrity, my sort of vibration, right? And I would put myself back in it. No matter what was happening, right? I would come back to it. That pain, I sat with it for almost 2 hours, right? Just going, I choose how I feel. And receiving why it was there, receiving its wisdom. And it showed me a lot of things, right? It showed me some general things, and it showed me some very specific things about taking care of myself and drinking more water, right? Like literally like these big, like huge monumental shifts in experience and like very simple things. So if you've ever gone to like a really moving movie, right? They're called movies, so they should move you. If you've ever gone to a really moving film and you sit there and you watch it for like 90 minutes, right? And all this stuff's going on, all this stuff's happening on screen, dialogue, situations, and then you walk out of there, right? And you're like something has shifted in you, right? There's like this shift in you. That's kind of what it's like with these experiences, right? This thing is coming up into my awareness, into my perception, and it's coming up, and I just go into the movie theater of my own inner space, and I just start to watch it, right? I just start to observe it and be with it. I don't go, take a bunch of aspirin, right? I don't go try to like, knock myself out, narcotize myself because of it. Like if the pain's still there later, like I will. But the first thing I do is I really just sit with it and I watch it like a movie. And I'm like, okay, what is this trying to show me? Right? What is this trying to bring into me? And then I go back to, I choose how I feel. Right? And what you end up doing with that type of a mantra, with that type of this integration message, is you finally start to take responsibility for how you feel, right? And it's not easy because we have all these patterns. We have all these learned sort of, what? Is this an important question?
So many patterns.
Right. So we have all these patterns. We have all this accumulated algorithms of experience, sensation, emotion, story, conclusion. Boom, 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 boom. Always going on. And many of them are not even conscious anymore, right? Most of them just happen. And we ride the wave. And then we get off feeling exhausted. And so we smoke some weed, right? And it makes us feel better momentarily. And then we get back on, right? And then it's through it all again. And then it's back in. Like, if you ever surfed, it's very much like that, except you're really shitty at surfing and every wave slams you. But there's this part of us, there's this truth of us, there's this authenticity to us that knows only I am responsible for what is occurring in this inner space. Right? Nobody else controls this. Right? Many people can affect it, right, if I'm not integrated. But like I said, when I'm integrated, you can only pull me so far, right? You might be able to move me over there. My son can move me like over here, right? But as soon as I'm over there, I know it, like, because I'm not here anymore. And as soon as I'm over there, I'm like, okay, get back, sit with it. Why? What took you out, right? What took me over there? Okay, this is a fear, right? Fear, always comes back to fear, and there's fear, and then that fear became anger. There's fear, and then that fear became sadness, right? And then I'll notice that sadness, and I'm like, okay, there's that sadness. What am I sad about? Losing something, right? Never having something, never getting something being hopeless, right? I'll find that, right? And then it's like, oh, okay, where did that come from? And I'll sit with it. And then once I get it, I choose how I feel, right? I choose how I feel. So, like, I can feel in a way that's very constructive, that's very proactive, that's very receptive, or I can feel in a way that's very destructive, right? That's very combative, that's very contracted. And we all know sort of intuitively or experientially the difference between those two. And the more and more we, through our meditation, through our practice, through our sitting, begin to cultivate that proactive, that receptive, that constructive feeling, right? If I choose to feel in that way all the time, all of a sudden, like, those emotional things that happen will take on a completely different light. And what we'll begin to realize, right? Realize, not analyze. No analysis going on. What I'll begin to realize is that the hardest things that I go through, the most intense, painful experiences in my life will be the greatest gifts. Will be the greatest gifts. I'm not welcoming them, right? I'm not encouraging the universe to do that, right? But if I approach them in the right way and in the right form, they will become my greatest gifts. They will become my greatest assets. And how we doing? Okay. And I was at a Bluegrass Festival last weekend, and Henry Rollins spoke, and he was talking about this girl that he had met over in the Ukraine, and she had been raped as a child, like 13, by one of her classmates. And she went and told her parents, she went and told the school, she went and told, the police. Nobody believed her. Everybody was like, listen, you have no evidence, like, we can't do anything about this. And she would have to see this kid every day at school. And she went to Henry Rollins and she was like, you're gonna sign this? I'm gonna take a picture, I'm gonna show this to people, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what's up with you? Like, what's going on? And she told him the whole story, and she's like, you're gonna be my friend. And he's like, absolutely, like, you got it, like, no doubt. And he said, on one condition, right? You stop harming yourself. So she was cutting, right? She was doing self-harm. On one, you stop harming yourself, I will be your friend. Here's my email, here's my number, you text me, you call me, And what he told her was, I know it sucks. I know what you're going through is the most devastating, is worse than being shot, is worse than being stabbed, punched, kicked, whatever. That emotional pain is way worse than physical pain any day of the week, right? But he said, if you get through this and you hold on and you stick with that courage to just know that things in the world suck at times, but you get through it, you will be a light to every single other person that happens to. And you will be able to show them that they can get through it. And they will appreciate that, right? And they will get through it too. And so, those things that happen in our lives that are the worst, right? Those are the things that are going to make us the best if we let them. Because it's just as easy for that girl to continue cutting, to get in a failed relationship with somebody that's abusive, and continue to carry around that shame and that guilt and just have it get worse and worse and worse. Because she didn't have any other way. She didn't know any other way. Nobody taught her. No Henry Rollins came into her life and said, I got you, right? I was beat up. I was bullied. I don't know what that's like, but I know that I wanted to kill myself. And I got through it. And here's how I got through it. I made fucking punk music. And I raged about it. And I got in a lot of fights, and I got real drunk a lot of times. And then I learned that that's not a good solution. And so then I started to get into meditation, right? And so, it's that way that we can become the people that we're meant to be. But if those past patterns, right, if the things that happen to us, right, if we don't free ourselves from them, if we don't take responsibility for the way that they make us feel, right, and start to transform that feeling and that emotion back into love, back into joy, back into community, the things that make us humans and the things that make us great as people, right, we'll just continue to make it worse. We'll just continue to become more contracted and more distracted and more sad. And it's just heartbreaking. Literally heartbreaking. And so this week, you choose how you feel, right? No matter what happens, right? No matter how bad that pain is, when you sit, when you get into your breathing, when you start to be here now be here, in yourself, in your inner space, you choose how you want that to be. And you create that. And whatever that thing is that's hurting, that's pissing you off, right? Know that that's a pattern. That's something that you've accumulated. And that now's the time to let it go. What is it telling you? Do you need to say hey, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore, right? I didn't really appreciate the last time we hung out. Nothing against you. I'm happy for you, right? But I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. That's cool, right? It's all good. It's all good. But you choose how you feel. Don't give them the power over you to ruin your day, right? And treat them as messengers, right? As gifts. That's one of the best things you can do, right? Is when you have a client that's pissing you off to no end, be like, this is fantastic, right? Because this is, and we'll talk more about this in the next couple weeks, but this is giving me a capacity that I didn't have before. So that this will come up in the next couple weeks, but you know, if you can start to develop this spaciousness, right? This, I can get pulled over here, but I can stay here, right? I start to develop this capacity where I can experience this, but I can still be here, right? I can still love, I can still care, I can still support. I don't shut down, I don't close off, I don't lock up, I don't destroy. Cool? I'm not judging you.
Can you talk for just 2 minutes about choosing, potentially negative emotions, choosing to be sad or choosing, and I'm thinking specifically
Yeah.
about the Sunday night phenomena of the last 3 weeks. So we had, hurricane,
Yeah.
mass fires.
Right.
Wondering if Sunday night is like going to be a pattern here, but
Yeah. I hope not. I hope we're not causing this. Yeah, I hope we're not causing this. We could be.
We could be causing this.
Not gonna lie.
The unempathetic approach would be to say, I'm going to choose to be a positive emotion.
I choose to feel joy.
Right.
No, that's completely inauthentic.
But there's an
right?
empathetic side, which
Yeah.
is sort of choosing to embrace the.
Yeah. Right, and that's why I didn't say I choose to feel joy. Right? It's I choose how I feel. So if, my mom's this way, like I remember I was telling her like, my wife was like given 6 to 8 weeks to live, right? And my mom's like, it'll be okay. And I was like, and that's just my mom. Like it'll be okay. No big deal. We'll figure it out. Right? And I was like, Mom, that's not what I need to hear right now. Like, if you could please just say, that sucks, and I can't imagine how you feel. Right? Like, that's all I'm looking for. And she totally did, right? Because she's my mom. But it was like, that's how she operates. Right? And she's a nervous wreck because of it, because she's never felt sad, right? She's always trying to pretend it's going to be okay, and she's not sad. And so, I choose how I feel means that, right? Like, I choose how I feel. If this person made me feel angry, right? And I want to feel that anger, I want to experience that anger so that I can integrate it, like, I will choose to feel that anger. If I start to feel angry and I know it's inauthentic and I'm like, I'm not going to go into that pattern again. Like, I know this pattern. I'm going to feel joy again, right? I'm going to feel support and connected because I know this pattern's inauthentic, right? Then I choose to feel that. So it's not about choosing to feel happy, right? It's about, I choose how I feel. And when I was in that pain, I chose to feel that pain. I didn't start to say like, I don't feel pain, right? I don't feel this, that. Like, I chose to feel that pain. And I chose to feel that pain until I could start to feel again joy, right? I could start to feel. And joy and happiness are very different, right? Joy is embracing all emotion, right? Joy is embracing the experience that you're having. Happiness is being delighted by the way things outside of you are occurring. And that is not sustainable, because eventually the way things that are outside of you are occurring will not make you happy, right? That's not the way the universe works. It's always trying to integrate us. It's always trying to get us to grow and develop and evolve.
So basically you're saying when we say I choose how I feel, you're trying to decipher the difference between inauthentic feelings and authentic
Yeah.
feelings.
Well, and in the sense that, like, you know, like it's also about choosing how you feel in more of a meta sense, right? Because like I said before, there's feeling that's you can choose to feel those things in a bad way that shuts you down and contracts you, and you can choose to feel those things in the more receptive way that we're talking about. So like that's part of choosing how I feel. Like I choose the how of how I feel, right? It's going into how I feel. But then there's also the other side of it, which is like I choose sort of the feeling that I have, right? So I start to choose the feelings that I have, and I start to become responsible for the energy, the emotion, the vibration that I'm carrying around with me. And so, you know, I can get upset by things, I can get triggered by things, and that can cause some sensation and some emotion. And I may know right away that that's inauthentic, and I'll be like, get the fuck out of here. Like I'm not, no, I know who I am, right? I'm not gonna get angry at this person. They don't know what they're doing, right? I'm gonna stay in my zone and stay open and expansive and continue along, right? I get that you're just coming up to show me that again, right? And I'm gonna dismiss you right away, right? Versus the other side of it, which is like this thing comes up and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and I can't shake it. And I'm in a, I just can't, I don't know what it is. And it's just fucking with me. And so then I'm gonna sit, and then I'm gonna go into it, and then I'm gonna experience it, and I'm gonna choose to feel that thing, right? And once I'm done feeling that thing, then I'm gonna choose how I feel. Yeah. What else? Nothing? Something? I wish you all had thought bubbles that I could just read rather than trying to decipher through your facial expressions whether you're trying not to yawn. All right, so cool. Let's sit and we'll finish up there.